All right, hello everybody. Welcome to day 958 of eating a sheet of paper a day. Let's do a bit of that. I'm gonna put my score of the day just straight off bat. All right, no goofing off, and I am truly and honestly feeling a pretty high 5.7 out of 10. And that's good because my circumstances are still as they were before, which is solitary confinement. In fact, things are so stagnant and unchanging. Today feels literally identical to yesterday. In fact, it's hard to tell what day it is. Let me check my calendar. Thursday, never would have known. Never would have known if that wasn't on my phone right now. We do have two new viewers, which is interesting. We have Mooser and, of course, the iconic Andy the Anteater. I always love alliterary names. You always get extra points for that. Speaking of points, I didn't choose the point system, but apparently YouTube has designated you the number 2 top fan with 25 XP, which makes no sense because this mustache guy has the same number. But still, it seems as if YouTube is arbitrarily choosing who... Oh, you fuckers just changed your names. That's why. Andy, you're just Moses. And Mustache, you're Mooser, which is just another synonym for the previous name that you had. Anyways, I was here last time. I know it's because you guys keep schizophrenically changing your external appearance like a transgender lady, all right? I mean, it keeps happening. You guys keep changing stuff. How am I supposed to keep track? Who's Moses? Shut up. All right. You guys were like, what's interesting is I did not expect for Sean the Stocksbanger to become such an influential figure in this stream because he really seems to be influencing everybody else's behavior. I got Ian to single-handedly change his vernacular, even though he outwardly hates him. You guys are doing the whole, paste on a different profile picture and put on a new mask every stream thing, which is starting now, I guess. I mean, there have been people who've been doing it before, but I don't know. I'm noticing a pattern. Anyways, that's enough talking. Let's get to eating and drinking, of course. Feel free to have, depending on your age, an alcoholic/non-alcoholic beverage on hand to drink along with me, and hopefully something that doesn't hold me legally culpable, like not paper, but maybe like some Sour Patch Kids, so you can eat along with me. Because I've been thinking about this the last couple streams. It'll make me feel like I'm not alone. And my goal right now, more than ever, is to not feel alone because I'm fucking alone right now. So, can we make Sean a mod? That is how we get the stream. The stream in of itself will get manually deleted if he does that. If we make him mod, that's the moment you hand Sauron the Ring of Power. Okay, shit's gonna go down when that happens. Also, why are you even? Oh my god, you guys actually like this guy. This is actually presenting a unique challenge. Everything was fine, and the power scales were tipped in my favor when Sean wasn't favored. But it seems like he's slowly growing public sympathy, which is becoming a bit of an issue. And it's so funny is that he's not even here right now. And I know he's not, because if he was, he'd be typing some wacky shit in chat right now. On the last day, can we make Sean a mod? We'll never finish the stream. He's going to just be raising havoc. He's going to delete everybody. No way. Okay, I'll consider it. I will lightly consider it. If you remind me on the last day, sure. Ian plans on being there in person. I don't know how that's going to go. So at the very least, if Ian gets deleted on the internet on his phone, if he's on the stream, then at least, we'll have an IRL version of him. It's like a spare tire, You got the main one out, and then we have the other Ian, the non-internet IRL Ian. Yeah. All right, cool. Get your notes app out and write this shit down. Okay. There is no such thing as a last day. I mean, in a way that it's also true because my plan is still to continue streaming on here. It'll just be under a different series name, and I'll be doing different things. It will be like partially a news show, partially a talking show, partially maybe GeoGuessr / 6 Degrees of Wikipedia game playing show. I might even learn to play some video games to do that. Anything that I can do, I will do. I think that, if I just keep doing my commentary thing on top of it, it's like maybe my commentary is adaptable enough where it'll just kind of make sense and it'll translate. And if it's not, and I was never meant to really stream like that, and I'm going to crash and burn, then at least I'll find out by trying. Sounds fired. This is what I'm talking about, guys. Ian30, hello. I gave my score to 5.7 out of 10. Feel free to give yours. Now, this is... Where's my phone? Here it is. I managed, so I did this with music, right? Where from here to 1950, there is one album per year that I could consider album of the year. The weak points are 1956, which has close to nothing. I had to take advantage of a date labeling error in Chet Baker's Chet Baker Sings. It was technically released in 1954, but it is mistakenly labeled as being released in 56. I had no other option. It was either that or selecting some random ass, janky, weird B-rate jazz group who were just playing a bunch of shitty covers, which is what most jazz groups do anyways. But yeah, that was tough. And then the other toughest year was 1983. There were albums out, but they were so bad, not up to snuff. There was The Police with Synchronicity. No, there's like a 15-minute long song full of nonsense and screaming, and it's like miles away from a perfect album, even though it has like 3 good songs. And then David Bowie's Let's Dance, which is an atrocious project with only 2 good songs. I had to have David Bowie on there. So it's just challenging. It's very challenging. Oh, 1985 was terrible too. A lot of challenging years, but I've done the same for movies. It's proven to be even more challenging, making me realize that no, I know people, like I talk about movies on here a lot. Doesn't mean I've seen very many of them or that I'm very educated on them. Because I don't think I know that many, because it was really challenging filling in the blank spots. But okay, I did this with music, but there are 3 blank slots pre-1950, and I just used it to platform just a bunch of classical stuff that I like, which is Bach, Brandenburg Concertos, Four Seasons, Ode to Joy. Those 3. Can I be mod on day 958? Now, you see, I don't know you, man. I mean, I know you, but I don't know you, you know? You've been on streams, and you have been a semi-regular, which makes me really appreciate you. But I don't want to make a guy named Moustache, which I remember that used to be your name. And the stuff you've been saying is very nondescript, very inoffensive, but also makes me feel like if you were given power, you would morph into a Hyde version of yourself, you know, Jekyll to Hyde, you know. I've never met Moose from. Oh no, don't worry. I'm not accusing you of any super secret ties, which I know you have, but no, I'm just saying Moustache is an isolated individual. You know, he just seems like the guy who would kind of immigrate here from a random island off the coast of Siberia, and then he would start doing random wacky shit. You know, the guy in the corner of the room, the quiet fella who we trust just enough to let him get some power, then he'll act mischievous. I don't know any of these people. No, I'm saying, of course, I don't suspect you of having any specific ties or knowing anybody. Also, you insisting it in all caps most certainly makes you seem a lot more suspicious. Thank you, Ian. I'm glad you agree with me here. I don't know if I'm going to let Sean make it till day 1000. Oh, wow. He came in and I didn't even... Sorry I'm late. Yeah, no, thanks. Yeah, we really were missing you. It's fine. Don't mind sleeping in because it helps the stream be at least somewhat more peaceful. But hello. My day's a 7.9 because I moved to Maine. A Mexican gangster like yourself moving to Maine, huh? Have you reformed yourself? Has the constant experience of being bullied in this stream kind of mentally reshaped you? For one, I simultaneously apologize and tell you you're welcome. Because I feel bad, but also if it means that you go on the pathway to being like more normal, then that's also good for you. Again, I've said this on the stream once, and I will say it many, many times more in the future. We have mod wars here. This has turned into an oligarchical system on the stream in the last few days, and I will take full credit for that. And I'll have you know, this is kind of me pulling my Charles Manson move. I had no part in any direct decisions being made. I just, lit the little first spark that caused the giant fucking wildfire and millions of dollars in property damage here, allegorically speaking. What was I even talking about before I got distracted by Mr. Gecko deleting comments? Dom isn't here. I know, yeah. That's why I'm holding off on tallying mod deletions and stuff. I'm not doing any of that. I moved there because I had to hide from the police. Cut the bit, man. I know you moved there because you want to taste the taste of a warm cappuccino, and you're done drinking hard liquor in the streets of Mexico, man. You make up a new location to move to, which leads me to think that, for one, you're very good at printing fake passports, or you know someone who is, or you're a liar. But I'm not going to assume you're a liar because that's a very rude thing to do, which is what my mom told me. She said, don't lie and don't assume people lie. and your life will go totally smoothly if you abide by those two rules. And I'm gonna assume I'm gonna take you at your word. I'm gonna assume you're correct. What the fuck is going on here, man? It's like random, like cane sugar residue trapped in underneath like the bottle cap here. Okay, I'm just gonna avoid touching that with my lips. What should I have for dinner? Okay, I was about to say something, but spaghetti was a lot better than what I was going to bring up. My advice to add on to that, to at least feel like I'm contributing, combine the sauce. If you make the sauce, don't just like copy paste dump just a straight glass mason jar of like your store bought or spaghetti sauce into the saucepan. What you should do is combine it with olive oil, right? Or just some oil, because the oil works with it, and then combine a bunch of spices, specifically oregano, thyme, paprika, and if you want to spruce it up a little bit of cayenne. But and there's a little. I think sometimes they add onion powder. I don't do that, but that's my advice. Or you could just go to the taco shop and purchase a $30 taco in Southern California. That's fine. Don't eat paper because you're not a trained professional. Thank you, Mr. Gecko. Anybody who's new here, which is nobody. Also, it's marked on here that I have 0 viewers right now, but just in case anybody's playing it back and they're like, oh man, Brian's beard looks so awesome and he's so fucking normal and conformist. Oh, that's what I was about to talk about. Conformity is super cool. I know there's been a culture recently of hating on conformity, which in of itself is a form of conformity. And I will say this. Most forms of conformity are super cool and we should abide by them at all times. Make sure to DM me for more examples. I can list them off in a big bullet pointed list on just all the ways in which conformity benefits society. I have stats. But yeah, don't eat paper unless you're a trained professional like myself or you're getting IRL or just time-intensive guidance from a professional like myself. When I first found, I thought you lived in the East Coast. I don't know why. I don't know why either, man. But I move around a lot, so I don't even know if I live anywhere. I mean, I have my main location, which is an underground seed vault. So there's that. And the thing is that the seed vault, just in order to kind of take advantage of nutrients moving around within the soil due to the natural photosynthesis cycle in each day. Did you know that nutrients actually move around and density within soil and the sediment underneath our ground? The density of it kind of fluctuates throughout the season. And so what the seed vault that the government is having me monitor, which is where my original house is, this is not here. This is just a place in LA. But we make sure to monitor nutrient and sediment density. So we actually have a mobile underground seed vault. It's on wheels, so it moves around. So my location in my main house changes. So sometimes I'm in the West Coast. I don't think it goes to the East Coast. It's kind of more flyover states. We're working on continuing to dig the underground tunnels, but we will get to the East Coast sooner or later because all over America, at the very least, our government needs to monitor sediment density, nutrient density in America's soil. Because there are some issues with GMOs and plastics and people peeing casually on lawns and stuff, it's a problem. I've done it before, so I know for a fact that people do it. He lives in the ether realm. You could just call it that, yes. Okay. It's so funny. Ian asks, what should I have for dinner? Like he's consulting us. We give him an answer, and he is like, you know what? I'm going to make my own decision now. Classic Ian. Where do you get my news, Brian? Well, I mean, because I work with certain people, specifically the people who are helping me monitor the seed vault, I get a lot of information from them. But obviously, I shouldn't rely on just one governmental agency that I have direct ties with for all my news and stuff. I get that. So I sometimes just consult, like, what is it, Breitbart? Yeah. In fact, I'm wearing a Breitbart colored shirt right now to represent them. There's that. I browse Breitbart very casually. Ground News on occasion threatens me with blackmail if I don't repost some of their Instagram stuff. So I post that. And Ground News, for the record, and I'm totally not being blackmailed into saying this right now, but it is a really great step forward in monitoring media bias. Now, what's interesting is I actually had a discussion with someone on the internet about this privately. And it was about how there's an accusation that Ground News is now a lot more anti-conservative because there's a series they do called Blind Spot. It is designed to find articles that either left-leaning news outlets ignore or right-leaning news outlets ignore, right? So on the graph of who reports this, the blue dudes and the red dudes, the blind spot would be all red or all blue, right? We're noticing in Blind Spot recently 80% of Blind Spot articles are featuring stuff that either slams conservatives or are just not being reported on by right-wing news. Every single article or instance of which is backed up. So if you want to go, I mean, there is a subscription for the app, but I have it. They gave me a discount code. I only pay 50 cents a month for it. It's great. And I have it. And what's interesting is like, I understand. And I've had a very interesting relationship with the conservative end of the political spectrum because I agree with a lot of their points. However, I think that they are missing the mark on this one because the fact of the matter is a lot of these conservative news outlets do in fact suck big, major moist ass. And I also think it has nothing to do specifically with them because, yes, obviously CNN is a parasite as well. But depending on who you have in power, you're going to get a lot more news articles written about certain people in power, including a lot of scandals. And there's a lot of, and even for a presidential term, even for Trump, there's an unusual amount of presidential scandals right now. This whole Epstein list thing is insane. There's rumors of him seeking a pardon for Diddy. Like, really? Like, it's no longer bipartisan. He's like escaping the echo chamber of his own supporters, and now he's just pissing everybody off. Like, excuse me, the Conservative Party has never been more fractured than it is right now because their representative that they've been, touting as the next guy is trying to pardon Diddy right after publicly saying, "I never had the pleasure of going to Epstein Island." That's insane. That's not normal. And trust me, whenever Trump would pass a good act, I'd be the first guy to talk about it, or whenever he would be misunderstood over a bad act, I'd be the first one to talk about it, All Ian has to do is ask me what news I get, and I just go in, very, very smart, Ian. But yes, that's my answer, by the way, to your question. But yeah, it's interesting. It's a very interesting news cycle. I'd say out of all the news cycles in the last, 2020 was pretty wild. Ever since 2020, this has been the most wild news cycle. Paper time. Oh, getting too political for Mr. Gecko. I think if I were to analyze just the speech patterns, like no one's been given their political takes aside from Messathula and Ian and a couple other fellas here and there. You guys haven't been overtly political, but I can judge your affiliation by your speech pattern. Mr. Gecko, you are straight center. You're pure Rick and Morty viewer. You think both sides are stupid. I don't understand politics at all. No, I mean, no one really does. It's a weird realm. A lot of it is a lot more arbitrary than you'd think. It was something that my argumentation professor said that really stuck with me, and it was her big thesis that she gave at the beginning of class for the whole class, which was, even though it may appear that way, the more you zoom in into the logistical side of every claim, there is no such thing as an absolute truth. Try it. Try this experiment. Look at a political opinion, especially one that is the subject of continuing debate, and then look into each individual example. You'll find that it's not a binary black and white system of yes or no. It is all about a gradient. Some are okay, some aren't. Your individual opinions of each individual part of the gradient may vary. I was thinking about making a video about this I want to really do a lot of research on this so I can have more examples, but I have a couple, but this issue is very present. I'm going to name one after I, eat some paper. Hold on. So one example that I want to use to kind of give my perspective on the gradient theory, and you may disagree. I want to preface all that I'm going to say here by saying you may disagree with individual opinions I have, but you cannot deny that the issue in of itself, as well as literally every other political issue, is an issue of a gradient rather than black, white, yes, no. And it exists, and people don't acknowledge it enough, and that's the heart of our issue. So, right, it's should we or shouldn't we ban guns, when really it's not like every single gun is built the same. In fact, what determines lawmakers saying yes or no depends entirely on two things: the build and the caliber of the gun and the region that you're in and demographics. Different demographics, different regions containing people will have different proclivities to violent behavior, different relative knowledge of responsible firearm usage. And okay, let's look at the gradient. Very bottom, lowest caliber possible. You have those little one bullet load at a time. They're not automatic at all. They're just, load, pull back the hammer. They are still used mostly in Britain, but interestingly, you'll see them in a lot of flyover states where guns are legal. They're purely self-defense guns. Any malicious person who would want to use these very low caliber guns, it's impractical. They'd find a bigger caliber. They're used purely for, interestingly enough, majority of them being women for self-defense. And it has been argued that these low caliber guns save more lives than they take because they're mostly used by people just pulling them out for self-defense. There's a very different debate there than on the other end of the spectrum where you're talking about extremely high caliber, like MP40s, shit like that, right? You could go all the way to like a howitzer or something like that, but you mean that's ridiculous. Did you add the scores or YouTube did? I think the idea of nothing being kind of true is boring. The world is boring, Ian. I'll get to the rest of the stuff later. I want to finish my point. But notice how, I feel like nearly everybody, when they're asked the question of gun control, they keep thinking that, the issue of I'm just going to average every single gun down to just one abstract idea of a gun. And that makes the debate impossible because we can bring up examples about self-defense. We can bring up examples of homicides or regions where a crazy psycho broke into his parents' gun cabinet and grabbed something, or a scenario where a kid was playing around and didn't know what the fuck to do. Your answer, in fact, it's not one answer to the gun control question. It is not yes or no. It is an unanswerable false pseudo question. What it really is a bunch, like when you ask a general question like, should we have gun control in America? It's really a bunch of dozens of candidates for little mini questions, subsections of more specific questions to ask that will all have different answers. Now, you and I, our answers might differ based on the individual scenario, but it is never a black, white, yes, no for the entire issue. And this carries through with abortion, Brexit, child labor, etc. I mean, if the question is child labor bad? And then, yeah, obviously, there's universal agreements, right? But when the question is asked on what to do, which is like really weirdly phrased in modern politics as just a yes or no, simple yes or no question, people are idiots and they do not understand that it's an unanswerable pseudo question. It's a false dilemma. It's the classic false dilemma fallacy. It's look it up. I own like 9 billion weapons, and then Mr. Gecko deletes it. He did not like that. I'm just deleting for the fun of the game, but you're not deleting everything. I can tell you're just deleting the shit that you're just done with. That's funny. Mr. Gecko, be nice. Yeah. Let's try and chill. Because I mean, again, what's happening here is Sean the Sox Banger is taking time out of his day and effort in it, that he could put into masturbating or watching paint dry into watching this stream and commenting about owning 9 billion weapons, which is a very productive use of his time. And I'm sure when he's 50 with 4 children, he will look back and he will go, damn, I really am a single stay-at-home dad, but this is awesome. I'm so glad I spent my time on that. Sean, come back. I'm sorry. Thank you, Mr. Gecko. Appreciate the effort put in, no matter who it is, all right? We are non-discriminatory here at the Paper Stream. It's okay. Thank you. Forgiveness is very important to us. I have opinions on guns that I think would surprise you. No, it wouldn't. That's the thing. Like, I have, the way I've been thinking about these subjects is so particular. It's like, dude, if you think that a lower caliber gun should be allowed, even if you think a howitzer would be beneficial in the hands of a government official living in his own house or some shit, which would be a very interesting opinion, it still wouldn't surprise me, though, because, again, if I were to ask you about your reasoning, unless you're just trolling for the fun of it, I won't. The only thing that's surprising, the only time people are surprised by opinions that they disagree with are when they don't zoom in further into them to understand how they, came to that opinion. Opinions, no matter what they are, become a lot less surprising. I've heard some insane opinions to this day that make my head spin, but they're still not surprising or even outrageous the more I look into them. You deleted my pinned message. Okay. Well, we've been talking about meritocracy and how when you acquire power, no matter how nice the human being is, they will resort to corruption and evil. There you go. That's prime example of that. My thoughts are specific. Well, shit, man, type away if you want. But I mean, if I were to go into any, I mean, I'm saying that like my division of the gun issue into this complex gradient, right? That threshold where the caliber of the gun and also the state, you know, those two factors, but let's just look at just gun caliber, right? People's thresholds for when it goes into, okay, that gun probably shouldn't be in American households. That makes no sense. That threshold varies, but that's the point, that there is space and room for that threshold to be. And also, it's not even two-dimensional. It is 3/4/7 dimensional because there are some of these issues with so many factors at play. It is a giant 5-dimensional matrix, and it's like that's where your threshold is. That's what makes politics so bloody complex. Tell Sean the allegations. Oh yeah, Sean, I don't know if you know this, but we did get a team to track your IP and your browser history. We did find lots of girls or horse shitting in girls' mouth porn on your browser history, you know. And I did triple check and verify that it wasn't like my dad's or something on accident. Trust me, that was you, man. In fact, we looked through all the Gmail stuff. Now, I'm not going to disclose this publicly, but we do know your full name. We know what you look like. I mean, you made that obvious when you were posting all those cool stories, which thank you, by the way. The non-AI ones, obviously. And we did find a lot of that stuff on there. Now, DeviantArt.xxx videos of animations of horse shitting in girls' mouth porn. That's not illegal, but it could be used as blackmail. I would never blackmail anybody for any of this. However, unfortunately, a couple associates of mine who possess the same technology, who have a more irrational animus towards you than I do, have taken that and they're planning on messaging you and using it for blackmail. In fact, the fact that I'm saying this right now will probably have them go, oh, hey, he did our job for us, and they're probably not going to message you. And so I'll just relay the message they told me to you, which is, I guess they're saying that if you, they'll realize through me what they want. I don't know. They're kind of reclusive, these guys. But if you don't do exactly what they want, which they'll relay through me, I guess, they'll reveal the browser history and stuff. I don't know. Some of the guys I know are kind of weird, but it is what it is. You're weird too. You know, we're all weird on this platform together. What isn't happening? Well, what isn't happening is Sean and the Sox Banger being, squeaky clean and smelling like a rose on the internet. There's been some unfortunate information about oral defecation via horse's asshole fetishes that he has that we discovered somewhat on accident. We just kind of scan browser history of everybody who goes on our streams. Anyways, it's kind of a typical protocol. Okay. No, someone hacked me. All right. Yeah. He's living 7 minutes in the past before I made the reveal. Whoa. Excuse me. Oh my God. Eat sheet. Yes. Coming right up. That's good. We have about 4 pieces left, everybody. Yeah, I mean, think about all of the factors present in the abortion issue, though, right? What can be done? Okay, is it criminalize abortion or not criminalize abortion? It seems like an easy yes or no, black-white binary question, when in fact, what's at play here is this plus access to contraception, maybe even Plan B pills, which I morally disagree with, but, you know, it's a little too close to, you know, actual child murdering. It is the equivalent of child murder, but like contraceptives, birth control, access to sexual education, you know, I don't know, YouTube tutorials for safe condom usage being put in .edu websites. I don't know. There's a gradient of things from minor, light, vanilla to extreme paired alongside the criminalized, legalized status. That in and of itself is a gradient. And that's the thing. My response, if you were to pick out one of these individual circumstances and the gradient, the political gradient, and present it to me, my answer would be very different. So that's my position on politics. I'm like, okay, why are these issues not getting proper conclusions? Well, it's because the question and the entire basis of the debate is a false dilemma. It's nonsense. It's a stupid question. It's irredeemably inspecific. Bathtub X Toaster came in, heard abortion, and dipped. Very smart young man. Children have no experience, barely human. That seems like a video game name, right? Detroit children have no experience, barely human. Maybe I'm just whatever. I'm just free associating here. I was free associating because that was the only thing I had to do when I didn't understand what the sentence meant. Sean is the smelliest pay-per-viewer I've smelled by far. And that's good. So you're able to. There's a new technology, internet smell-o-vision. That's a real thing. And I mean, I don't want to use it because I don't want to smell anyone on the internet. But it's good that you're willing to see what people on the internet smell. Like you're never going to get a good smell ever. No, my sister, Raina's position on abortion is please, because I just hate babies and babies are annoying. And I'm like, okay, fine, touche. But that's not even on the gradient. That's like over here. That's like some separate island, like separated from the gradient. Oh, in life, barely even human. Yeah. That's what you're saying. Oh yeah, and there's that whole other debate involving or is it really a human being with value, or is it like a parasite that's like leeching off the mother's nutrients? I'm like, oh yeah, that's a really humanistic way to think about it. They really know that you're pro empathy now that you're saying all that shit. Which to me, that's just like that's a dead debate to begin with. It's like, okay, where's your threshold for human value? Huh? Location outside the womb, the third trimester where it slowly comes in. I think it's third party conscious action when two consenting adults, or in some unfortunate cases, one consenting adult, in which those cases are the minority of scenarios, but let's include them anyways. There are people who make decisions, or people who are subjected to other people's decisions. Maybe you have a scenario where like someone's naked at a nudist colony, they slip on a banana peel and then their penis falls in. But most of the time, one person, if not the majority of the times, two people are making a choice. And that choice that's made in the majority of the times, let's just say two people. Fuck it. Let's just say two people because I don't want to go on too long about this. But after the initial choice is made after conception, no additional choices are made without any third-party interference. It is with miscarriages and birth defects and, woman gets in a wrestling match or something like that, or falls at a supermarket stomach first and kills baby or something. Outliers aside, without, unimpeded, that thing that is currently not considered a person will grow to 100% be guaranteed to be a person. So where does the value begin? I think it begins at the choice or choices that one or two people make. And as unfortunate financially and rape-wise that those circumstances may be, that is to me where the value begins. So it's like that, if we're looking at that part of the debate. Now, what can be done governmentally? That's the gradient I was talking about. But there's a whole other gradient there. That's my whole point. People are treating these gradient issues like it's a yes or no thing. And I know people are saying, they've been saying that for a while, but they've been just saying that in theory. They haven't been treating those issues as the complex gradient-based things they are in practice, right? Everything that exists will succumb. Time frame is, or we're just all dead, in which case, don't hold up signs protesting governmental action, Be a real nihilist, which, I think that most of the people in my streams are nihilists. If you're sitting here watching someone eat paper, I feel like that is the last resort. I feel like if you're still here too, that means that if you wanted to, be on a Greenpeace boat or something, you would have done it. If not, that means you're truly content with your life making you stay here. And that to me means you're a real alpha, which is very cool. Brian tried to... We didn't try to do anything. We were just doing a typical browser scan and found the horse porn, okay? This is a thing that you did. You can delete your history, right? It wasn't even buried within your data. It was like right there. It's called typical internet protocol, man. We all do it. Okay. Wow, I missed something. I missed a good amount of bullshit, actually. It's not a baby. That's why your life starts when you pop out. But when you're born, there's birth date. But it's birth date. I'm like, you start doing stuff. after you're born. Most of it's just, absorbing umbilical cord nutrients, right? I don't know why. You could say someone's birth date could be their conception, which would make me a 2002 baby. It makes me that much closer to 9/11. Actually, right? Because I was born in January 2003. Wow, I was like conceived like 4 months afterwards. I don't know what 9/11 made my parents want to do, but yeah, that's interesting. So, yeah, I still think that's not a very good reason, though, right? Saying that people's birth date is marked when they location wise go out of the womb. It's like, okay, yeah, you're negative 3 minutes old when you're basically the exact same organism with that exact same heartbeat and that same third trimester ability and ability to recognize your mother's voice and breath patterns. The only difference is just location. Like, that's bullshit. The whole like strict cutoff thing, that cutoff point at your actual birth, that's complete nonsense. That's actually archaic. It's so funny that there are like younger, supposedly progressive activists making that archaic ass claim. It's just ridiculous adherence to a top-down one-size-fits-all rule because it benefits their narrative. You see, this is why we got to be careful. We got to be careful, and you got to look at our perspectives from an outside perspective. And I'm guilty of this too, right? But like, show me then. I can't do. My stream would get taken down if I showed everybody the horse porn you're seeing. Plus, why would you want to subject a general audience to your sins, man? Your sins are your sins. Well, I mean, I've seen them, but I can not tell anybody. Shh. No one but you and me knows, Sean. Shh. I think YouTube auto blocks some of my more offensive comments. I should see it. Let's see it. Link. Yeah, I mean, Sean, if you want to, on your own volition, you can provide the horse porn links in the stream right now. I just don't want to feel personally responsible. Plus, if the links end up breaching some sort of community guideline thing, then they'll delete you, not me. Or else I will hate you. I'm amazed you don't hate me already. I've been bullying you for what is it, 2 or 3 months now, just on the internet. I've been very mean. Stop watching horse porn. Here, we're gonna actually make a new pinned message. This is our catchphrase of the day, everybody. The doctor chooses the date because it's best for the baby. Explain how it's best for the baby. For one, yes, sure, it avoids confusion, and there's nothing inherently wrong with the idea of a birth date until people start using it as a talking point to devalue the baby's humanity. But yes, I mean, yeah, extreme cases aside, yeah, of course, no one's getting a third trimester abortion, but I'm making the point that, you're still claiming that it becomes a human when it is born. That's why the birth date's there. Unless there's something else to your claim that I'm not getting. That's why I'm saying, yeah, no one's aborting a baby -4 days before they get born, but you're still treating it as, oh, it's going to become human later. So you're saying that the basically human thing is not a human. No one's aborting them, but you're saying for all intents and purposes, we're just going to massively round up and just say that it really becomes a human after the fact. That makes no sense. If I'm paying attention to what the thing inside the woman is capable of, and also the guaranteed potential and moral value it has post-conception due to, with lack of third-party intervention, it is guaranteed to be a living, breathing, thinking person with value. I don't know, man. The people who go, and you may be trolling right now, but the people who go about the abortion issue through that angle, they're dead in the water before they even start swimming. Okay. I don't even watch porn. That reminds me of the Nathan Fielder episode where he gets hooked up to the lie detector test. You should watch that. You should watch that show. I imagine you're like the Mexican version of Nathan Fielder. The way you type, it just reminds me of that. I would totally love you. Have you seen that show? Please tell me you've seen it. No, before you start swimming. A lot of people I disagree with start, doggy paddling and stuff like that. But I just think that it's just such a bad angle. You could actually go forth with okay, I don't think abortion is good, but it's certainly necessary if we're to give women the choice, blah, 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 which I have, fair rebuttals for, but it's a fair thing to rebut against. It's like a trolley position because it's such a whack ass position for the abortion thing. Where's the cutoff? Because it makes sense to say, no, the cutoff is conception. The cutoff to me is when two people make a choice to have a thing be conceived. And unfortunately, I know that rape cases get brought up in these scenarios, but it's still a person making a choice. And also there is the choice of the woman to abort the baby. The baby does not have the agency to make those choices. So what I'm saying is listen, The world's a complex, weird place. And when I say there's no objective truth and we can just make our best guess, oh, I mean it. But my best guess, and I think that it's a lot better of a guess than, well, it's inside the womb and then it's basically unchanged, but outside the womb. But when you see a graveyard, the birth date's the day they leave the womb. So that must be when value begins. That's a stupid ass. Yeah, that's like such a, just through my arbitrary opinion, that's a gay answer. It's, to me, if we're going to look at what creates value, it's a person's choice to bring a life into the world. And when that choice is made, minus any third-party intervention, either by the mother who might want to abort, or, I don't know, a guy who, I don't know, might want to yell at the lady to abort her baby, not under her own volition, or under her own volition, convince her. You have a group of people outside of the womb, the mother, in most scenarios, another guy, or a guy, two people, making choices, who are able to make choices to either have the baby or to not have the baby. They have agency. They have the responsibility. And when that responsibility is had, if they don't impede the birth of the baby, it is guaranteed to be born past conception. That is a much better answer for when does the value begin. Right? Like, I know that when it's just a couple of cells, people are going, well, I mean, it doesn't look like there's a baby there, but yeah, but I mean, the seed is planted. It's guaranteed to be a baby. If you plant a sunflower seed and a small little root starts growing out and then you just unplant it and eat it, it's not like you ate an entire tree, but it's, some passionate gardeners or horticulturalists would say it's the moral equivalent of doing so. It's not a very good example, but you get my point. I shouldn't even need to bring up horticulturalism to make this point clear. It's not a human yet. Well, I mean, by literal standards, it's like, okay, it technically doesn't have legs yet, but it is 100% guaranteed to have legs, ridiculous outliers aside where it has like 3 legs. Actually, well, here you go. It's more value, but no, it's guaranteed to have those things that make it human. The seed's planted. The process has begun. That process that begins, that starts the growth of the brain, the limbs, the stomach, the anus, all that stuff, that's the value there. The guarantee of there being a future existence of a life. So if you cut that off, you can't just go, but it wasn't born yet. It's like if you plant a tree of peace, if you have like a hippie group, maybe Greenpeace comes, to bring Greenpeace back into this, they plant a ceremonial tree, and then you're like an edgy teenager after they plant the tree, and the tree is like, barely a sapling, didn't even extend out of the ground yet. It's basically a seed with a couple roots growing out of it. You rip it up and go, fuck you. And they go, what did you do with our fucking tree? And then you just go, yeah, but it wasn't a tree yet, so I didn't really do anything, did I? Come on, bro. We can do better than this. We can do better. The way the world has too many people in it, especially in scenarios where abortion. Oh, okay, so now you're just switching to population control. There's much better ways to go about that, which is what I'm saying when it comes to the gradient of action that can be taken, especially when it comes to proper protection, sex education, how to, somewhat abstain. I'm not an absolutist for, abstaining from sex, but like either abstain, and if you're going to engage in it, don't just let your willy swing about haphazardly. Like, if you do it, you're likely to bring a baby into this world. Although here's the thing. When I was writing a paper on abortion in high school, there were a lot of stats, especially recently, on infertility within parents. There's a lot of them, and they can't do shit because foster care is not government funded. Do you see a potential alternate solution to this, guys? A lot of households who want kids, but they can't have them. Also, there's a lot of really stupid guidelines on who is eligible to foster a child, a lot of them which are really unreasonable. I believe that those pieces of legislation came from the same era of very disproportionate sentences for very relatively minor federal crimes, right? It's like you get one possession charge and you get like 15 years in prison, shit like that. If you committed one, and that's literally the same thing. They look through your records before you adopt, and if you have like one case of possession when you were 16, you're ineligible to foster a child. There's a lot of ridiculous governmental barriers in the way of less privileged, biologically speaking, infertile parents, right? less biologically privileged parents from having kids. And that to me is a much more constructive and intelligent solution than just either letting abortion be completely legal and leaving it at that, which is never an option, or completely criminalizing abortion, leaving it at that, and not giving a crap about what happens beyond that point. Both are bad options. I say it's a multi-step process. Abortion, morally, the worst way to go. However, the women need the choices too. We can all agree on that. All right? Maybe I'm the crazy guy here, but criminalize abortion and provide a lot of alternatives. First step, contraceptives and birth control. Very important. Sex education so that people are very careful and they don't swing their willy about and start creating a bunch of fertilized eggs all over the fucking place. Then you'll start sprouting moral value everywhere, and that's dangerous and exhausting. So before the choice, the conscious choice made by the consenting, in most cases, the vast majority of cases, adult is made, make sure that that doesn't happen, because once that seed is planted, the value is there because there is a guarantee of that thing to become a fully functioning life in due time. So the final option is helping foster care be more accessible. Like I was talking about this before. The nearest foster home is like in the Nevada desert somewhere. There's like none of them. I have not seen a foster care in Southern California near me. Have you? So if we get them more accessible, especially when there's a high volume of, for one, children that are not even listed on governmental records, children who are completely homeless, even if they are listed, or foster children who have nowhere better to go than to like really shitty foster cares where they never get adopted and they stay there their whole lives. That's a thing. So there's room for improvement, and we can improve the system and really, create a solution to the issue without, getting a doctor to get a pair of pliers and rip the fetus's limbs off and slowly dismember it while inside the mother. Like, we have to get less primitive than that. And also just a little more, get a moral clean slate and not act like shitty people. Yeah, if you define just a human having value with its reliance on the mother, dude, when babies are out of the womb, when they're born, without a mother there to feed them with a spoon, here comes the airplane, they also can't survive. You have people on pacemakers, people who have IVs from third parties like hospitals who would die and be picked off by natural selection. A lot of these people can be younger fellas with, health conditions. Like, come on now. Punch the bellies. Now that's something we can agree on. I'm not switching. But that's where society makes the cutoff. So you're just doing an ad populum argument. Oh, it's because everyone just kind of lazily agrees on that's where the cutoff is because they just say that's where. Also, just because someone says, oh, he was born on this day does not mean his value began on that day, right? I feel like most people would agree that when a woman's pregnant with a baby, the value of the baby's there. It's not just a thing that's swelling inside the body that only gains value when it's born. People are aware that there is something special within the pregnant lady. That's why, as long as I can remember, and as long as, many generations of people can remember, there was a long period of time where pregnant women got lots of privileges and safety precautions surrounding their bodily health and being careful with their bodies. Way more than, someone who wasn't pregnant. The value is still societally recognized when someone's pregnant before the birth happens. I appreciate the effort, though, Ian. I appreciate the effort. But society doesn't make the moral and value-based cutoff of a person and their value at birth. That's not where society makes the cutoff. You're making that cutoff because you think society does, because people list their birth dates as the moment the location of the baby changes. That's stupid. It's still not a person yet. Define what you mean by person. Define what you think a person's defined by. If you say agency, a lot of people don't have agency. A lot of people are in comas right now. You're going to say they are devoid of value because they're comatose in the hospital bed. If you say, oh, ability to walk, come on now. If you're talking about reliance on another human being, the only drop down, one size fits all, really, in my opinion, logically sound cutoff is when the choice is made to conceive the baby. So, I've been kind of restraining to say this part. I really have. I've been clenching my fucking ass, for my fucking dirty, unwashed ass for the longest time to avoid doing this. But Ian, you're a young fella. As you think about this issue more, as you get older, you will know more. And you're a very smart young man. And you will get a more well-rounded dude. When I was your age, there was a video I made a long time ago on good content when I was like a year younger than you, or maybe I was like your age, like around the same age as you. And my takes were so shit, they were like stupider than you. Way stupider, you know? So, and I don't like what you're saying, but you know, it's just a lot better than what I was saying when I was your age. What I'm saying is like this ain't it, Ian, but we all age and get older. No, that's what I'm saying though. Like I'm saying that like seriously, just I love when you engage, and that's why I'm you know, when I'm saying I'm clenching my dirty ass to avoid saying it, it's because I'm genuinely enjoying the conversation. It's just I don't want to sound completely rude because there are just times where it's like I'm unusually not aware of when I sound like an asshole. But so a moment where I'm like, oh, well, I'm gonna sound like an ass when I say this. I'm like, okay, I have to really be ostentatious when I'm saying this. So you know, I'm just warning you that I'm gonna be like mean, but I do believe in it. I do believe in what I'm saying. So but I appreciate you for engaging. That's not that rude. Okay, well, you know, I I don't trust my own perspective anyways. Okay, thank you. I appreciate you clarifying. But yeah, no, I'm glad you engaged, and it's always good. In fact, that makes the stream better. So you know, disclaimer to everybody who engages in that way. If I'm like getting passionate, that does not mean I don't like you. In fact, it means that if anybody deletes Ian's comments here as mod, you're immediately getting your mod status removed. Because conversations like this, it is why I stream, because I love talking about important issues like this, because I don't know everything. In fact, there's a lot. In fact, most things I don't know. And the way we get to know more is by conversing more. Mods can't delete mod comments. Very smart. Rajiv or whatever guy who is the new CEO of YouTube. Good job. So you want no abortions? I take it, Brian. Eat paper. Okay, yeah. I know. I forgot McBurgerness. You were giving a lot of constructive comments here and there. Ian was just taking up a lot of my attention. Okay, yeah. This has been in my mouth for 5 minutes. Shit. Now, of course, if you think that you're just tired of babies and babies are high pitched and annoying and you just want population control, then that's fine. You know, if you find babies annoying, just fucking kill them. It's fine. I just don't like when people are pretending they're for the moral high ground and they're for the people. And I'm an empath, but it's not a real person in there, really, is it? It's like logically unsound and totally not. And don't even pretend you're an empath saying that. You got a Joker brain. Joker 2 fully a do brain. Okay. What a great stream. 52 minutes. I got like back problems, so I'm so glad that Andy the Anteater and Sean the Socks Banger, we were able to expose Sean the Socks Banger for his horse porn browser history. That's really what made this day for me. 2, we were able to have a great constructive discussion, and plus we got visited by the iconic Andy the Anteater, which is just Moses under a different name. So, and McBurgerness, right when I'm about to head out with the last piece, asks a constructive question. Where do we put the babies people don't want foster? It's a fair start. Now, yes, there are many regions, particularly in India, which is a very unfair example, but I'm just, whatever. That's just the one example I can think of. Unfortunately, I'm not very privy with specific locations at the time being. I did my paper in high school, but foster care is a great first solution. Obviously, if there's less of them as generations continue and time passes, ideally, we decrease the amount of conceptions being had by proper sexual education, by dissuading irresponsibility by both men and women. And there will still be children to go into foster cares, but it'll be at least somewhat manageable given the number of foster cares we have now, which is still not enough. Foster care will explode exponentially. Yeah, and I wish that foster care didn't trench into child slave labor if it does, exponentially so. Most kids in foster care, unfortunately, I wish I knew more, but if they go there, there's also a fix to that does not involve changing your position on whether or not the thing inside the belly has value, or saying that the only good solution is to use a coat hanger, Can't spread rumor. Oh, don't even try to be slick. I know who you're doing, Sean. These are the desperate measures people turn to when their horse porn gets exposed. Oh, excuse me. You will not turn savage humans into responsible adults. You know, you were doing so good. That's your like weakest point so far because I think you underestimate people's proclivity to responsibility when they're given the benefit of the doubt. So much legislation is made assuming people are going to be savages. Obviously, you could zero in on the bottom 1% of irresponsibility and like, oh, those guys over there, they're making headlines right now with mass shootings, et cetera, et cetera. But like you're looking at the worst of the worst. When you're looking at people in general, like people were really predicting that in this particular states, given the overturning of Roe v. Wade, that there'd be a lot of people turning to illegal abortion. And trust me, the police in each state where this is happening, they're cracking down, and it is estimated that like 95% of illegal abortions are now properly documented. And even with those stats in mind, 80% of women that most people thought would turn to illegal abortion just don't abort the baby after the law is applied. Now, the one problem is that so many of these women financially literally can't bear a child and financially support one. That is a huge issue at hand for the woman, and they should not bear such a terrible weight on their shoulders slash stomach slash legs or whatever. You know, what you get the idea. So the fix, yes, abortion out of the question. However, especially long term for future generations, I believe that if we teach responsible usage of your penis and vagina, and if we increase accessibility to birth control, which, by the way, is a choice you make prior to conception, which to me that I love how conservatives treat birth control and abortion as the same thing. It's not even close. You know, it's an education problem for sure, but idiots will always exist. Yeah, and I think a lot of idiots are made through nurture rather than nature. It is an age-long question: nature v. nurture. Drinking and smoking to harm your baby is a form of abortion, legal or illegal? Well, okay, when you're asking the legal or illegal question, I mean that's not really the heart of our issue. I'm not debating legality. I'm debating how morally sound it is, and I think that we can all agree it's not very morally sound to have a baby and irresponsibly poison yourself. That which then consequently poisons the baby. I mean, come on. Here is a new cool pin message. Smoke while pregnant. That is a good phrase. Don't eat paper unless professional supervision, but you can smoke while pregnant. Nurture doesn't produce retards. No, you see, I think you're just saying the same thing as before, but you're just insisting on your point. I think that there's a lot of room for debate. I wouldn't be so sure. And in an issue like this, when human lives are at stake, we shan't jump to conclusions like this. If you make it illegal, people will do it. Look at the stats, man. Literally look up after the overturning of Roe v. Wade, the states where abortion was banned, it was an 80 to 85, I believe, 80 to 85% decrease in abortions, even though they were cracking down on like 90 to 95% of illegal abortion clinics. Even with the ones that were occurring in those illegal clinics in mind, there was an 80 to 85% decrease. So yeah, you still have the 10 to 15% or 15 to 20% left. But generally speaking, if you have a legislation changed, people won't do it's such a great argument to dissuade against stuff like the Civil Rights Act. Well, racism will still exist even if you don't have Jim Crow laws teaching children through rules and legislations that black people are inferior. It's like, yeah, you're still going to have racism, but the Civil Rights Act and the, erasure of the Jim Crow laws, it made insane strides. Nobody let those stupid arguments of like, but there's going to be some racists out there anyways. No one let that stop them. Why are we going to let this stop us? Is that an illegal abortion? What's an illegal abortion? It depends on the law. The law is a piece of context that is to be considered here. Let me see. But yeah, child slave labor increasing is certainly bad. But again, we can just still, there's a lot left, a lot of room for improvement left for the government to do. That's one. We can name one. I'm glad you're giving us some great ideas on what to propose to the government as the ultimate pro-life bullet-pointed list. Excuse me. Mr. Gecko can't spread rumors. Thank you. Mr. Gecko, you're one of the most vigilant moderators we've ever had. Eat rocks. Honestly, I'm not that far away with this whole paper thing. Okay, here we go. Gentlemen, this has been Day 958 of eating a sheet of paper a day. We had an hour and 15-minute long stream before. This one's going to breach an hour by the time we're done. And this is just the beginning because I want to do streams that at the very minimum breach 2 hours, which I've never done before since 2019. There was like a big paper reading like extravaganza thing I did in 2019 that fucked my stomach so bad I'm never going to do it again. But that was like 3.5 hours. That was a really weird stream. I haven't really done something like, oh no, I did have the online interaction chamber. Okay, that does not count. Statistics can't be a whole argument. Well, you can't have your whole argument ignoring statistics, though. If you insist that if it's illegal, people will still do it, it's technically true, but in relatively such small quantities, which is proven, you know. Also, the amount of people who will turn to illegal abortion will still decrease if you provide alternatives like foster care, like proper education, like guaranteeing health care. You know, if we adjust our health care shit, which is a huge contention I have with the political right now. If you help people acquire that as well, you notice that people will be a lot more content and a lot less discontent, and they won't run off and commit crimes. That's not even a statistic. That's just a very common held belief. How can you measure who's killing babies that nobody sees? Well, they may be wrong. There might be an insane margin of error when it comes to the levels at which local police have apprehended the vast majority of potential illegal abortion clinics in these states. Maybe they missed some. In fact, they probably did. But it has been calculated with the many, many, many dozens upon dozens of clinics that are erased and documented when it came to how many times someone went in there and got it done. They estimated that there was such a significant decrease in people doing the thing that, yeah, laws do make a difference. I think pretending that laws don't make a difference is it's a bizarre point to argue from. How many homeless rape victims kill their babies with miscarriages? That's so many insane keywords that I'm like, okay, hold on, let me take this one word at a time. Homeless. Okay, so we're bringing up extreme examples. We're going into Extremeville. Right, so there's that, right? You know, you could say, I attempted to get a miscarriage, just like the mom from Hereditary. Yeah, I mean, I think that's morally deplorable, and I still think that if you enact a variety, as I said before, which is my main point in this stream, the gradient of potential options, access to birth control, that's step one. Obviously, a lot of these cases go beyond that point. Accessibility to foster care that isn't linked to, I guess, sweatshops that engage in child labor, which is something that was when I did my research for all this stuff, I didn't see anything about that. You could send me a couple links on Instagram at Brian Hello, actually. Here, let me see. There we go. Because I want to actually hear what you have to tell me, you know? So, and also, like, it's hard to put links in live chat on YouTube, so feel free to send me all that stuff there. I'm sure you already have that, but just in case. Yeah, I'm talking about doors and records. Well, I mean, that's all we have to go off of. And I'm not denying the fact that there are probably tons of still undocumented illegal abortions being made. But I don't really see how that point, which again, all of this is leading up to a point of you insisting that under most circumstances, if you enact a law, people are still going to do illegal things. It's like, okay, but at the same quantity that they were before, generally speaking, I don't think so. If you're telling me that if a law is enforced properly with a good amount of alternative options given to people in times of financial need, the exact same quantity of people are going to commit that same crime, that's very unlikely. And that's not a statistic. That's, again, a commonly held belief. I have nothing but experience and opinions. Dude, we're twinsies. So you and I agree on the same thing. Drugs are illegal. Yeah, do you believe that if you had, if heroin was completely legal, like I'm telling you right now, if there was an ability for dealers to just deal heroin with impunity, they'd be doing it a hell of a lot more. When you have a law and you have people's, your livelihood can be ruined through one instance of doing an act like that, people will do it less. People will do it, but they're less able to. And the people who, value their livelihood when they're weighing the options between success, short-term wise, and livelihood, they will not do it. It's a very bizarre debate. I'm surprised I'm even talking about this, but it's an interesting one. I will consent. The word is concede, and you don't need to consent. I'm not gonna have sex with you or anything like that. But yes, you will concede the number will decrease. Yeah, And that's just the beginning. And it'll decrease to various magnitudes depending on whether or not the people in those positions, the people in question, the demographic that the law is enacted upon, depending on what their situations are, by region, by state, and also what state and federal law will allow them to do as an alternative. Is foster care accessible and moral and reasonable? Will it allow foster parents to, accept children? Will it allow mothers who can't bear children to even donate their children? There are some rules where that can't even happen. A lot of stuff that currently makes this issue so difficult. And again, a lot of it's just pure human apathy. Excuse me. Do you believe abortions are occurring too much? Not that they shouldn't happen. Well, no, I believe both at the same time. I believe that they shouldn't happen. They're like the worst case scenario for the scenario of, or it's the worst case outcome for the scenario of mother who doesn't want kid who is guaranteed to exist because conception already happened, right? The number will yeah. So I'm waiting to see what your point is with this new question, because I want to see what point you're getting at. I am going to catch up on chat. I have nothing but experience and opinions. Okay, I read that part. But are you understanding or not? Okay, I missed that one. I'd like to think I am. I could always ask the same question to you. For whose sake? The babies? No, the reason why I'm not just saying, oh, this is only a debate on whether or not abortion should be criminalized or not. The reason I'm not stopping the question of the issue there is because I believe the women have a lot of stake and value in this as well. When I say that I am both pro-life and pro-choice, I value the life of the baby and I value the choice of the baby and the lady. And also I do value the choice of the lady to, hopefully keep the baby alive. I am both, because if we make abortion illegal so that the worst case outcome for the childbearing scenario is out of the picture, and we can still give the baby a choice, the choice to live, the choice to actually make choices, and also give the lady a choice in order to have much better options at responsibility prior to conception, post-conception, support through health care and foster care. Those are two big ones. Two things in America that are so buns right now. And, I'm telling you, in this nation, I think foster care and healthcare are like the two things that America cares the least about, at least governmentally. So there's a lot of room left to be done. And I feel like the Democrats would agree with me on this. I don't really understand your stance because of your meandering. I'll be as direct as possible. Criminalize abortion, increase access to contraception, birth control, healthcare, make it greatly improved. Even if it hits our economy hard, I think long-term it'll be a huge moral improvement to our nation. And foster care. There you go. 4 points, as direct as possible. Through that it's not even complex, simple list of resolutions, we will increase the amount of choice and agency given to the baby and the woman, tipping the seesaw even. Now, if you don't understand that, I don't know what I can really do for you. All I can do is swallow my piece of paper, which I noticed you wanted me to do towards the beginning, meaning that you really didn't want to get into politics with me. This is the first time you've really, gone sicko mode. And this is why I like doing the stream. So, but again, it is definitely not productive to insist you don't understand when I feel like I've made it clear. But okay, if there's anything you don't understand, message soon before I swallow the last piece of paper. But I can stay here and just keep going. But, we'll see. I'm going to swallow. I'll let you type. Thank you to anybody else, including you, McBurgerness, who has seen, watched, indulged, played back, commented live on this stream. When you say lol, I hope that means that you understood my very direct and simple 4 points that I made. A very interesting point that some people have made to me when I've given this perspective is, okay, but that's not feasible. You know that it's not going to happen. And I'm like, okay, well, it depends on what choices we have as advocates. If you're advocating for a lesser option, but something that you believe is more feasible, feasibility is determined by public discourse. A lot of governmental action is determined on what they know the public is aware of. So you're kind of manifesting the shittier option when you're like, oh, it's the only thing that's really feasible, so that's what we're going to advocate for. As a person who cares, I will never settle for less. Never. I'm never going to settle for just having abortions criminalized and the women are fucked. I'm never going to settle for abortions are legal and the babies are fucked. I will never settle for less. So I hope that your lol is a hearty laugh of understanding, because I mean, I don't think I could have possibly made it any fucking easier for you. You're arguing for your opinion strictly instead of what I would consider constructively. What would constructive look like to you? Because I mean, I'm considering everything you're saying and I'm factoring it in, and I'm still going, well, yeah, but it's still missing the point. A lot of the stuff that you're bringing up about how, well, okay, if you make if you try to get foster care into the equation, then there's child labor, and it's like, well, no, what I'm talking about is improving foster care. I mean, that's not constructive at all. What you're doing is bringing up the an extreme outlier and saying it like represents what foster care morally is. It's like, no, if we do what we're planning on doing and improving accessibility, getting union workers involved with foster care, which is a thing that's long overdue, getting like huge amounts of governmental funding and also quality control on foster care, and having like getting rid of these bullshit like HOA level like restrictions on who can access foster children, right? Like when we get rid of that, I believe that one of those things will be access to sweatshops that we can just funnel the kids into if that's happening. Again, what I'm describing is probably not what you've read, so maybe you can update or educate me, right? Because again, there's a lot that I don't know. But I feel like I feel like I'm being a little more constructive than you are when you're talking about like an extreme example and assuming it sums up the entirety of what foster care is, and like that's your way of dismissing my alternative. And I'm like, well, no, because the plan's to improve it. So like, well, if we see those issues, we'll take care of it, right? Foster care industry could be done. Are people going to consent? What, consent to being able to adopt kids if they're infertile? Oh, I think there'll be a high number of consenting adults. Or maybe I'm not understanding, and what you mean is like people will consent to be giving the child who they, are not able to bear away. There, in fact, when I was in high school, I knew a lot of teen moms. You wouldn't believe, there were like literally like, okay, I didn't know dozens of them. I knew like 3 or 4. But I mean, in Southern California, for like in a relatively like middle income area, we're pretty well off. I feel like we're quite fortunate. Like to have 3 to 14 moms was pretty insane. Anyways, I was talking to them. One of them was involved in a No Place for Hate assembly, and I hate No Place for Hate. But I found that one assembly very interesting because this teen mom who's in our school was willing to actually converse with us. And I just sat down with her and I was very curious because I wanted to know more. The vast majority, and I'm not going to make this a statistics thing, but I'm going to make this a very educated guess. The vast majority of people who bear these children who they're not able to have or they don't want to take care of, they don't want to kill it. They want for the baby to be okay, because most people care about children. Most people care about babies. Most people care about fetuses that are nearly 100% guaranteed to be babies. My point is that people care. So these people who care are very likely, if they are given the option to give their baby a better life than being aborted or stuck with them who do not have the financial resources to support said baby, oh, they'll definitely consent to doing it. Now, when you're saying, yes, there's going to be like the 0.05% of people that are like, that's weird, I don't want to do that. Like the couple psychos with dandruff in their hair who are going to like want to, who like, I don't consent to you taking my kid that I don't want anyway, and I was considering having it aborted because that's why I'm like a part of the cross section being included in this conversation. Like, okay, if you don't want your kid going into foster care, then there's something else that's weird that's going on, or you want to keep your kid. In that case, you want to support them. In that case, you would never consider aborting them. So, obviously there's weird cases in between where it's like, oh, well, someone wants to abort their kid because they're like weird, or they're schizo, or they just are fearing that they won't be able to support the kid. And then they have the kid, they change their mind, they don't have it within them to abort the baby. And then I guess foster care wants to take the kid away, or no, it's presented as a feasible option. They just don't want to. It's not like foster care like sends them. Foster care knocks on the door, give us your kid, obviously not, I'm thinking within the realm of your question. Okay. And you're a college kid. Of course. My point is that I don't know everything. However, I don't think that you bringing up my status and my demographic should be the top-down argument on whether or not I know. You should evaluate my statements as they are, whether or not, bro, you don't even have kid. How can you possibly put yourself in someone else's shoes and think constructively about it? Okay, I haven't read fully down. I apologize. Brother, I have zero stake in politics. College is a unique environment, not really representative of the population. I don't really dig the aggressive support for your stance. Aggressive support, as in like my aggressive support for my own stance. Well, I believe in myself, and I'd like to have enough faith in myself where I would definitely, well, not aggressively, but passionately. I think people often, especially if they're just watching someone on a computer screen, they can confuse aggression for passion. I'm passionate. Yeah, I'm passionate about my stance. I was just here to express views and why you would like. Oh, I see. Okay, so it's like a social experiment. It's like what Ian did. No, don't feel like it was a personal thing at all. I love doing these debates, and I don't hold it against you. Absolutely not. You've been a viewer for. I don't want to be hyperbolic here, but like what years? And you've been very cool in so many of these streams, including this stream. In fact, I think this is my favorite stream you've been in ever. And this is, I think, your chats you're putting in here about you being serious about the issue, they're my favorite chats that I've seen from you ever, because it shows that like you might not you claim you don't personally care about it, but you care enough to message me about it, and you think that I am there. Listen, I don't want to just draw too many conclusions, but if I were approaching it more disingenuously, right, which is despite what people think about my internet presence, I mean, look at the fucking title of this live stream. I am sure they would not even bother bringing up serious stuff to me. My biggest fear recently is like, yeah, I'll talk about stuff seriously, and everyone just sees it as a big fucking joke. What you're doing here shows that you care enough to see that I care, and you're reciprocating that care. Even if you're saying you have no stake in it, okay, sure, I'll take you at your word. But individually within this live stream and within the context of a conversation, I mean, these points you're bringing up, I know I'm like being an asshole about it, which I apologize for. And I'm like, that's not a good point at all. Don't confuse that for me saying, why are you even talking, bro? You shouldn't even initiate in the convo. You're going to say this. Absolutely. I'm not saying that. I am saying I want to clarify. I'm super glad that you initiated the convo. And it's why I'm always happy to have these conversations. Obviously, I'd prefer if like I could really see where someone's coming from, and it doesn't seem like they're just like pulling straws out of thin air, which I'm sure you're not. It's just sometimes it looks like people are. And that's just because of perspective. I can't see it through other people's perspective. My perspective is very flawed and very regimented on, You're going to address Ian's stance because of his age. Well, now I'm going to. Yeah, I mean, of course, we're all of us here in this live stream aging from like possibly mid 20s to like what 15. All of us here are not in the demographic to have direct experience with this issue. We're all outsiders commenting with each other about something outside of our circle. I was here to express views, and now you'd like to argue I'm not really with it. Well, I mean, okay, I understand that, but there is a thing that happens if you start going. Well, here, let's see. Yeah, because you were trying to avoid the convo at first, which I apologize. Sorry if I stressed you out. I feel like again, a lot of it is our civic duty to somewhat be engaged in this way. So it's like if we're getting stressed out and now it's like I'm like discussing this constructively. What the you're saying? Okay, you could say I'm not discussing it constructively, but I think that what we're doing here is a hell of a lot more constructive than making fucking jokes all day. We can do that, but the little moments where just out of nowhere it becomes a conversation about policy and what can and should be done, that doesn't happen enough here, a lot because people just don't want for it to happen because it's stressful, so that's one thing. Also, when you're saying where do we put the babies people don't want foster, child slave labor will increase, abuse as well. When you're commenting stuff like that and then expecting for me not to respond, which will in turn, and then you respond to my responses, that's a debate. That's a discussion/debate. So if you're like upset that a debate happened, then if you comment that stuff, either I ignore it, which is not cool. I don't want to do that. Or I respond and then you respond to my responses and it becomes a debate. So don't comment stuff like that if you don't want to really debate. But I'd say the ideal scenario is if you do that, and it becomes a debate, and it's like, okay, it's never easy, right? but it's a cool thing that happened because it can help us learn. You know, every time I get into a debate with somebody, I learn a new thing. I am not a wise man at all, but I think we become wiser by meeting other people. It's not even a above or below thing, right? You know, it's like everybody who's been alive longer than like 2 years, right, has something unique that they know that nobody else does, right? I could go on, whatever. I'm going to respond to the rest of these comments here. McBurgerness, you're pretty epic sauce. I agree. I feel attacked for an opinion, but it's tough to express on my answer. Yeah, the medium is most certainly a problem, which is why, where's my phone, dude? I want to do this thing that I used to do years ago on the main channel. Oh, it's back here. Why did I hide my phone behind my laptop? But yeah, it's a thing I did a long time ago. But people would literally call in. This was back on Discord, back when I was sweaty. But I am less sweaty now, and I forgot that Discord was on my phone, and I think it accidentally got deleted by Apple. Thanks, Apple. So, you know, until then, also, if I gave my Instagram or something, you could just say, hey, yo, I sent you a DM or something like that. We could take a phone call, then it'll be voice to voice. But at the same time, you don't want an argument, as you say. So it's like, what do we do? I don't know. I'm a grown man, not an autistic child, but I like to tune in. No offense. Not sure what that means, but okay. I'm an adult too. I just so happen to have a diagnosis. I don't know if that means any position is better or worse, but thank you for. It's cool that my demographic is filled with grown men. That's great. I'm glad that makes me feel so much better about myself. I like this stream, though the viewers could be better. I think Brian's channel is highly under. Oh, God bless. Thank you. Thank you. The texting is bad, and I'm like, yeah. I love to argue. That's why I'm here. Okay. All right. I'm getting this all straightened out here. But yeah, no, it is difficult. And that's why, like, I literally have had so many situations, specifically on Instagram, because I make political posts on Instagram. Someone responds with a fucking wall of text. And then, like, the closest thing I have is, like, the voice message option, which I'm, like, sending, like, 7-minute voice messages. It's so bad. That's not how these conversations were meant to be had. And where it all gets resolved is when I just call them. There's like an Instagram phone feature, which is awesome. I love it so much. And I call, and then it's a voice. If you disagree with a thing, then you can actually, hey, point of clarification, as that's what happened. That's a very formal way of saying it, but that's also, it happens in conversation. So, you know, it's the natural process. No one chooses, you know, it's not like you get to choose when your text ends and you can text like 17 paragraphs and then I have to like document it and give you a list of all this. It's just messy, exhausting, like infinitely more exhausting than just a conversation. So I agree. I agree that the live chat, it's not ideal for political discussion. I think there should be a system. In fact, I'm planning on doing this because when I'm doing like the variety show post paper reading thing that I want to do, there'll be like a tiered system. When it becomes clear to me that something is not really going very constructively or well through live chat, I will just give my phone number and they can call me. And I have no privacy surrounding my phone number, so you don't need to worry about any of that. Just don't like spam. It's annoying, you know. Also, I have like people trying to text me, so you know. Obviously, if I give out my thing, especially if this becomes more popular, I feel like that's gonna backfire. I'll find some other way to do it. I'll probably just give my Instagram so that they can personally DM me, and then I can just call them on Instagram. That's actually a much better option. I don't know why the fuck. Yeah, okay. There we go. Learning a new thing every day. I have no stake in the argument for one side or the other. No, it's good. You're the horsefly. Again, that's what Socrates talked about. The horsefly. For every perspective, he had no opinions. That's what Socrates claimed. But he just wanted to challenge every perspective, right? And I think we did a fair job. You did a fair job at trying to give responses. And I believe I did a fair job at responding. You know, that's what we want here. Okay. I am like the only other viewer. You know, Mr. Gecko is just the guy. He's just like the child sitting in the corner. Mommy, Daddy, stop fighting, please. You know, but yeah, no, it's good. Son, listen, your mother and I were having a very constructive argument, you know, and it was for the better. All right. The divorce has been postponed. Hello, Brian Case Hotline. Brian Case speaking.
What's up, dog?
Doing great. You know, I gotta like unhook my thing from my computer because I think when you called me, it messed up my stream. But I still think no. Are we here? Okay? Anybody in the stream, just like text if you can't hear shit. But I assume this is Mr. Burger.
Yeah, dude, I can't. I don't think I can hear the stream though and talk.
God, okay, no, that's good. I'm seeing the green dots at the bottom of my browser kind of moving, so that works just fine. But yeah, you've reached the Briefcase Hotline, the one-time stop for all discussions, be it political or food related or purely satirical in nature. It can be anything. So hey, it's cool that I'm hearing your voice too. This is what anybody who's watching the stream, because I know y'all never heard a voice like this before. This is what an employed person sounds like. So take notes. God damn, you're. I think, yeah, McBurger, you may be by far at least the third oldest person ever on the stream, behind Johnny Cook, who's 56. Maybe he was 56. Perhaps he had a heart attack.
I'm just tired of doing the texting because I feel like it's getting misconstrued. I'm not really, you know what I mean? I don't want to be offensive or argue. I'm just, I was trying to express a viewpoint.
Of course. No, both things are allowed on the paper stream, of course. But I'm looking, I'm like, I was scrolling up through your to find the first text where you're actually initiating within the topic, and I'm like, look at us, a lot of fucking words, and I'm like, yeah, my fingers would hurt. Like, I'm not even typing shit, and I'm just my fingers are hurting just looking at that. It's just not practical. It's an impractical system.
Well, and then like the fucking context of one message to the next. Anyway, I don't know. I just wanted to call you and clear that up because I didn't have your number already.
Yeah, no, of course. And you can bookmark this, text me an 8-ball game. I'm very good at word bites. So I'm always willing. Everybody is like getting annoyed that I'm sending them, like I'm spamming 8 word bites at a time. Like, get the fuck out of here. And I'm running out of people. I won't spam you, I promise. But I'm always down to play some Game Pigeon. So that's one way to bookmark the contact. I won't mind Game Pigeon. So I've had this happen before.
I don't know what any of that.
You don't know what Game Pigeon is? You don't like sending an 8-ball game through text? Wow. Okay.
Look, I don't even text my relative. But I mean, my contribution to your live stream is probably like more than I do in most of my life.
That's like the most typing you do. Okay, that's crazy. Well, yeah, no, dude, McBurgerness. Now I'm getting.
Going on.
Yeah. No, I'm getting a much clearer picture.
This is my point, right? It seems like you're doggedly defending your opinion, which I don't disagree with. It's good to have opinions, but how do I express this? It's like, I mean, yeah, you're not wrong, you're not right. It's an opinion. But you seem so held bound to like defend your stance against attackers. I don't know. You know what I mean?
I see. It seems defensive. I think, and this was my point before, that I think people misconstrue passion for, I guess, absolutist defensiveness, because I'm always willing to admit that I could be wrong. But I mean, the positions that I have thought about. Yeah, of course.
The reason my voice is so deep, Mr. Garrett, is smoking a lot of blunts. That's the reason for that.
That's the best way to engage in this live stream. Post blunt abortion political debate paper eating live stream. That is very good employed activity right here. On your 30 in between work shifts. I love that. That's very good. Yeah, no, I think to respond to your thing about being defensive, I think, yeah, it is a thing. I think it is a tone thing, because the way I talk is
not even that. It's just the constant shooting, because you were doing it to Ian too. The constant shooting down of any. What people are trying to do is constructive, but I feel like you just try to shut it down and nullify it.
Ah, I see. Okay, I see where you're coming from, and it's getting me to retrospect. I think a point of frustration is coincidentally.
I don't have a stance on abortion one way or the other. I'm the least political person ever. I would argue maybe not a nihilist. I don't like that definition because
no, nihilism's ridiculous, man. I wouldn't go with that.
Kind of tough. But like, man, I don't know. Maybe it's kind of not apathy. Politics is just not my thing.
I think whenever
it's a very college-centric and old man playing field.
Yeah, well, Mr. Berger, I think within the realm of political discussions with people who are essentially strangers, right? Especially if you're doing it for the first time with somebody who hasn't really engaged at that level in a discussion, for me, it's always a balance of how do I hear someone out and make them feel heard? Because that is kind of a responsibility.
I'm not trying to be heard. I'm not even trying to make a political argument.
But your point still makes me.
My favorite paper eating stream.
Oh, thanks, man. Thanks, dude. Yeah, but I mean, I'm saying separate.
No, we've talked before though on Instagram voice messages, but it's been a minute.
Yeah, it has. You send me like just a I don't know a lady shoe emoji or something. You know, the red dress shoe emoji. I'll recognize that. That's like one of my favorite emojis ever. I'll recognize that. But yeah, when you're talking about how it seems like I'm shooting stuff down defensively, absolutely not. In fact, I am very constructively considering everything that's brought up. I just do it very quickly, and I think people think that I'm just immediately dismissive. But there's a lot of points that I believed were fair, and I think I did say that they were fair. But there are also a lot of things specifically that I remember Ian bringing up, and I've had many discussions with him before. But whenever Ian brings up a point, I get disappointed because I've had discussions with him before, and nearly every time he like just returns to the same point that I believed was moot from the get-go. So, you know, and I think a lot of his points aren't moot. I just sometimes get disappointed. And at the same time, like, I shouldn't be disappointed because it's just a conversation. And again, it's not like I even know why they arrived at that view. And I don't even know how rational that view is because, again, everything takes time to process. But when it comes to like you feeling like each point's being shot down, there were some points you gave that I just thought weren't representative. Like, I think there's like courtesy and honesty, and I got to balance it out.
Points that I know anything about or any kind of statistic data that you were asking for. I don't have any of that. It was just something that came to my mind, Brian.
Of course.
I have, a college paper to defend my stance. And it's not even really a stance, it's just an argument.
Right. So, I mean, when you bring that stuff up, like, if I were to just go, an interesting point, let's move on. Like, I mean, of course, there's more than just two options for this. But, I mean, what would your preferred response be?
What's the question? I don't understand.
When you're saying that it seemed like I'm shooting down the points you're bringing up, what would you want instead?
Now you're asking me to feel for you. I don't think I can do that.
Well, okay, because, I mean, I'm feeling for myself, obviously, and the best I can do is consider everything, and if I think something is not representative or silly, especially if you're engaging in a discussion and it's, about a serious subject.
Mr. Well, see, that's the thing. I feel like it's serious on your end, not on mine.
Well, no, I disagree, because if you're talking about slave labor tied to foster care, was that a joke or was?
I mean, it's semi what would you call it? Satirical. It's not like an actual argument. Like they think there's going to be sweatshops in America.
Okay, well, I mean. That's the problem with texting. For one, it's hard to convey that seriousness because you would not believe.
That's why I wanted to call you. Because I feel like it was getting misconstrued.
Okay. Well, okay. So surely you can see that you can't blame me for taking it seriously and going, well, okay, but here's my, because believe it or not, I was talking.
Coming from now that I've heard you say that, I understand where you're coming from. Yeah, because making Mr. Gecko sad. I guess.
Yeah.
No, is too long.
Here, let me pin his "I'm alone and sad." That's kind of my reparation money I'm throwing his way. There you go. You're pinned now. And LeChat is in here to keep Mr. Gecko company. Congrats, Mr. Gecko. You have a play date. He already finished eating paper, so now he's having a conversation on abortion. That's a really good chat. Yeah, that's dreary. That's a fucking dreary thing to comment. Yeah. And what's so depressing is like I've also had like nearly identical discussions before in previous paper streams. It feels like I'm retreading territory. I don't mind, but sometimes I get a little too self-conscious. I'm like, oh man, if I were a singular viewer watching all these streams, this would suck. It's like a TV show rerun. But yeah, my point is like, okay,
brother, you spend too much time worrying about the viewer. The content you produce is amazing. You're a beautiful human being. I love watching it. You're always funny. And I think I've sent it in text before, and maybe it just doesn't register as much as being said. But, it's like, yeah, I'm not your father, but I love you, Brian, and that's a real human being.
I love you too, Dad number 2. Thank you, dude. I want to have more convos. And again, I'm sorry about the miscommunication, of course, but, it's, People say, I joke around. I never joke about anything. I'm serious all the time. But sometimes when it doesn't sound like a joke, it often is deadly serious. And I'm talking about a serious issue. And I also just love talking because I think it just amazes me all the things that the government could do and they just don't. And I just think if it's talked about more, we can spread awareness and yada, 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 So, and so, yeah.
The government's not constructed to make life joyful. It's constructed to make life profitable, if that makes sense.
Yes.
And
No,
I get what you're arguing is it could be changed, but that's tough. You got to change human nature.
That's the checks and balances, though. The executive branch checks and balances the legislative, et cetera, et cetera. I believe that if we serve the same purpose, especially because checks and balances are becoming fewer and further between in the government, if we, as the American public, spot the bullshit and call them out on it, I mean, if the government has lost all favor with the American public, which they are starting to, they will want it back, and that'll be leverage that the American public can have. But I do agree, it's like, that doesn't mean that we're not fucked. We might be fucked, and the government is certainly not built for our prosperity right now. But that does not mean that in conversation we will settle for less, because I certainly believe that that even if a hypothetical option exists that'll better people, I'll be like, well, why not? Why not do that instead? That seems like a non-retarded way to go about it, but No, let chat just ditched. I think it's because you commented, oh, he's not eating paper. He's just talking about dead babies now. That's probably the worst sell on the paper stream ever. I get that. But yeah, I don't know your first or last. You do not need to say it. I'm just going to call you Mr. Burger right now while we're public on the stream. But thank you, Mr. Burger, so much for coming over here. Wait, pardon me. I knew that was coming. I should have warned you. But yeah, I wanted to thank you so much for calling. That shows care. I could talk.
Yeah, dude, I love this stream, and you're a little too self-conscious on what the viewers want. The viewers just want you, dog.
I know. I want to be open about how I get like excited because I'm like, oh wow, this actually provides a thing, and that puts puts a weird expectation not from anyone but me. It's literally just me eating myself. It's like the snake eating itself picture. So I'm still figuring it out. I'm sure when I do it more, I'll be able to slip into a more flow-based mindset where I'm not constantly hypothesizing what anybody else is. Because again, if I did that from the get-go, I wouldn't even be here. I got here by not doing that. So it's always the weird cyclical cycle, where you start off doing your own thing, then it becomes successful, then you fuck it up by thinking about it too much because you think that success will be made. I feel like everybody, no one's a stranger to that feeling. I am not special. I'm not a god. I certainly go through that too. But by the way, Brian, I like these streams a lot. Being a mod is stupid fun. Your tally, by the way, is at 7. Wow. You see, you are square in the lead here. Now, we didn't have any deletion competitions today because Dom, our huge MVP, is taking a big 40-minute shit or something. I know, an hour and 36-minute shit. He should get that checked out or something. But it's okay. When he's here, we will stage another competition, or I could just open up a second round if there's like a good number of other mods. I might even make someone else mod, like Mr. Burger. I could make you mod so that you could join in. It'll be a speed clicking session.
Like the contribution, I don't want to. How do I?
Too much pressure. Too much.
No. The contribution to these streams is it's tough on my end because, like I said, you know what I mean. Like, I enjoy my solitude. I enjoy my serenity. It's like, don't ask anything of me, brother.
Of course
not. I always love to watch the streams.
Well, thanks, man.
Very funny, and I don't know. Maybe a little too self-conscious, but what can any of us do about that?
Of course. I mean, if you're going on YouTube, you're going to expect self-conscious people all over the place. I'd like to think that compared to a couple other fellas out there, I'm actually smelling like a rose. But all right, well, my back is killing me. It was a pleasurable phone call. I'm going to say you can call me back anytime, of course. And anybody here, you can see me any day. You can see me any day. Next stream will be, of course, tomorrow, as this is a daily stream and I never fail to deliver ever. And we're going to make that. That's right. Day 959. Make sure to come tomorrow. That'll be hopefully at around 6 to 6:30. That's the new scheduled time. And say it, of course, with me. Make sure to live, laugh, cry, and also not die. And until next time, this is goodbye. All right, now I don't know what to do first. Do I end stream or hang up? Eeny, meeny, miny. Okay, end stream.
All right, hold on. I got you.
There you go.